Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome back to Hollywood After Dark. Today, of course, is it's now currently the 8th of January 2021. It's weird to think that it's already January, considering everything that's happened. So let me give you guys a quick update on why I haven't been live the last couple nights. So a couple nights ago, I just wasn't feeling well, so I took the night off. That's basically what it was. I passed out. And I slept. I needed it, and that's what happened. And then, of course, yesterday, with everything that happened in the nation's capital, I just didn't really feel like streaming. I kind of just, the day kind of took it out of me. And I went to work, and I came home, and I pretty much just went to bed. Because there was something about yesterday that was just unbecoming of this country. And despite our many flaws, watching it happen live, watching it happen on multiple live streams, and of course the aftermath and the carnage and the destruction, it just puts you on edge a little bit because you don't know where things are going to go. I mean, like literally, I almost like took my stimulus money and went and bought a TV. Like that's how on edge I was. I'm like, I'm going to go buy this $400 Samsung 4K. I still might. Patreon.com/MattJarbo. But this is a wild day. It's a wild fucking day. But of course, that's where we find ourselves here. Let's take a look here at the chat. Jack Pierre says, accountability over entertainment. We'll be talking about Ray Fisher, definitely. Richard here says, yo, what's going on, man? How you been? How you doing? Hope that's well. Anthony here says, how are you, Matt? Just moved. Oh, that's good, Anthony. I'm glad you moved. I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm not dead yet. Anything could happen. Jack follows that up by saying the Incredible Hulk is underrated. You know what, man? I don't disagree. The Incredible Hulk is actually, it's a good movie. It's a good, solid movie. This Edward Norton, man, he effed the whole thing up by just being a diva. So there's all that. Of course, Geeks Studios here says smash that like button, just like the Incredible Hulk's what you should do. And then says here, yesterday was scary. I've never seen anything like that. Yeah, it's because it's never really happened like that. And a lot of people are very not happy with it, right? Obviously, there was a lot of stuff that happened over the summer with other protests in different cities around the country, like Seattle and Minneapolis and Portland, that was not what yesterday was. You know, those events, as much as I disagree with the amount of vandalism and violence that took place, those events were predominantly, almost relatively, I don't want to say unilaterally peaceful. There was a lot of peace. And then there were trolls. And I think yesterday, there was a little bit of that too. Less so because of how things transpired and how quickly they transpired. That, of course, it moved into this weird place where we as a country just witnessed our Capitol building, be stormed by Pepes and by Kekistani flags and by Confederate flags and by Trump 2020 flags and America First flags. People that were caring about the Constitution. And people that were supposedly all for rule and law, or the rule of law. And they decided it would be a good idea to, break down the windows, open up the doors, and then go and just, trash the place. And it's frustrating to watch because, I haven't yet seen a legitimate grievance in regards to the election fraud accusations. 62 court cases, all thrown out. No actual evidence presented. It was all just a clown show. And it's a clown show that now made us the laughing stock of the world because of what happened yesterday. And so they are going to strike back. They're offering, $1,000 right now? $1,000 reward for turning people in. That's going to increase as time goes on. People who were there, who were live streaming, are going to end up being identified. In fact, one guy is named Baked Alaska, who I know, not like personally, we know each other. I think we've corresponded via email a couple times over the years. Like before Charlotte, before all this crap. I think it was after Charlottesville, but like I didn't really pay attention much to Charlottesville like the night before the protest. So that's my bad. But like he's the face of this thing, He's the literal face of this thing. And and I'm like, the FBI, dude, they're gonna put you in federal pound me in the ass prison. That's what's gonna happen. So it's crazy stuff. It's absolutely crazy stuff. I don't know where things are gonna go. Trump effectively conceded today without 100% conceding, but then again, we'll have to wait and see. Cabinet members quit, other people resigned. It's a mess, and the FBI is gonna come down with like the force of 1,000 angry gods. And now that a DC or a Capitol Hill police officer has been killed, he died today after sustaining injuries yesterday. Now they've got it's not just the one woman out of San Diego who was shot by Secret Service for trying to climb through a window through a barricaded door. Right? Like that whole thing is like, no, what are you doing? And she was a 14-year veteran of the Air Force. 4 tours of duty. Like, what are you doing? But I'll tell you this, and then we'll move on because I don't want to get on a political rant. But it is what everyone's talking about. But what cracked me up about it was the fact that all of these people that were there yesterday were shocked when Secret Service and the Capitol Police fought back. Because I do personally believe, and I've seen video of this, where they were just kind of ushered in past a barricade. I've seen them escorted down the steps after the whole thing was over. I've seen Capitol Police hold the door open for these rioters after they trashed the Capitol building. So there's complacency or complicit, whatever. People were complicit, but there were other people that didn't realize that some were going to fight back because they honestly thought, and this is my opinion, they honestly thought that the whole thing was going to end up being like they were on their side, like all the cops in there were on their side, and so it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. Anyway. I don't know if this is the same way communism started in Cuba. I'll take your word for that one. Geekus Idol here says, adorable that you think this made you the laughingstock of the world. No, this wounded us. And look, this country has made a lot of mistakes, many of which I don't agree with. But when I talk about the laughingstock of the world, there are certain things that are kind of like, that you just don't like fuck with. Right. And like that yesterday, the breaching of Capitol Hill, the breaching of it, the whole thing, goes to show you that like there was a lack of preparedness and it showed us as being weak. And in the standing of the world, America cannot afford to be seen as being weak. And that's just the reality of it. That's just the simple reality of it. But today, like I said, Trump conceded and a lot of his diehard alt-right base, very furious. Very, very furious. Let's see here. Your sources for the information you're throwing out here don't sound correct. Well, I don't. This is stuff I watched. This is stuff I watched happen. I don't quite know what it is you're trying to argue against, MD email. I don't know. If there's a particular side aspect to that, I'd like to know your thoughts. But if you're just going to say the sources here, I'm telling you things I saw and I've been reading on social media. I've been very actively paying attention to this for the past day and a half. So I don't know what it is you're referring to. Of course, you are always welcome to do that. But okay. So Jack here does ask a question, getting back on the subject of movies. Why are people saying that Zack Snyder Justice League is coming out on March 20th? I don't know. It's an arbitrary date that people have kind of, assigned. I've seen some people say that it's like the 5-year anniversary of BVS because that opened on March 25th, 2016. Others have said that it has to do with like that is the day that Autumn Snyder took her life, unfortunately. Although I thought that was March 17th. I don't know the date specifically. That's what I thought I heard. So there's that. And so there's the whole thing that, so I don't know what's going on with Snyder Cut when it's coming out. I think we're going to get to see more information soon. I actually think we're going to see something for the Super Bowl, because to me it feels like that's going to be Warner Brothers' big push, right? They're going to, because keep in mind, the Super Bowl, when it comes to movies, that's like the big, hey, come on out, show me your trailers for the year sort of thing. So having the Snyder Cut trailer come out during the Super Bowl with a release date is going to be a big thing, because for some reason, and even Disney does this too, and I don't know why, they target sporting events for like nerd culture shit, right? They go like, oh, we're going to be showing you the new Avengers trailer tonight during the NAA, or was it not the I don't want to say the NAACP. What is the college one? I don't follow professional basketball or college basketball, but it's like whatever that is. Or like during Monday Night Football, you're going to get an exclusive trailer for The Mandalorian. It's like, for Monday Night Football? What? Who cares about Monday Night Football? Bitch, I want to see the fucking trailer. Like, I don't want to have to like watch a football game. And it's not even that. It's just wait for the trailer to drop during the football game. Like, who are you selling this shit to? The people out there who want to see Grogu and Mando going on these, rock and roll adventures through fucking space. I don't think that the pigskin lovers out there are gonna be your fucking demographic. But I could be wrong. Okay, I think it's the NCAA. Thank you very much. All right. They want normies, not geeks, dude. But the geeks are the one who spend the money. That's the whole point. So, Kaz right here says, some nerdy Kaz like me like sports. Sports. Sports are for pussies. I'm kidding. I personally, I'm not a big fan of organized sports. I'm not a big fan of like a lot of organized things, to be honest with you. A lot of that has to do with I'm just not big on the organizational part of it. All right. So let's all right, let's take a look here at the situation, because this is going to be kind of fascinating. The DC dying cop was debunked. Oh my God, dude. No. He fucking died. Oh my fuck. Now I'm going to have to fucking do this shit, because Timcast, by the fucking way, is a little bitch. I know him. I do know Timcast. I've been on his podcast. I do know Tim Pool. And Tim Pool is a fucking liar. And he's a fucking coward. And he's fucking partly responsible for yesterday, because he pushes that shit, the second Civil War crap, constantly. I might bitch about the Fandom Menace, all right? But they're small potatoes compared to that balding, beanie-wearing fuck. And I know him, so I can say it. So don't even fucking come at me with this goddamn bullshit. DC cop killed. All right, let's see here. Okay, according to this happened earlier tonight. The DC Capitol police officer on life support dies after suffering stroke. See? U.S. Capitol police officer on life support dies after suffering stroke. So he was on life support. They thought he died. He was on life support. That was miswritten. And then he had a stroke and he died. So you know what, MDE, I will humbly and I'll wait for your apology on this one, because Tim Pool is not a fucking source of information. And I cannot stress that enough. I cannot stress to you how Tim Pool is not a source of information. He is a person, much like the Quartering, much like Geeks and Gamers, who grift you in order to make their fucking wallets fatter. They are not information sources that should be trusted. And like I said, I will await your fucking apology, because that's bullshit. The man died. It's not a fucking conspiracy theory. It's not a psyop. Trump supporters stormed the Capitol yesterday 5 people now dead. One of them is a cop. Do you not think that they're going to come down on them with the fucking anger of 1,000 pissed off gods? It's going to be insane. Anyway, let me get back into this shit because I don't want to fucking spend all night bitching and moaning. I want to talk about things I like. Anyway. All right. So this is what happened today, or yesterday, really. It was a busy day. Humberto Gonzalez, who has thrown himself into this fight for some reason, right? Humberto has thrown himself into this whole thing. He's at this point. Look, I'm not just gonna come. Like I don't want to call this guy like a paid opposition because I've met him and he's a nice enough guy. But given how much he has now tried to ingratiate himself, I think that's the word, into the Snyder Cut movement as almost like a crier for Warner Brothers, you know, hear ye, I don't have a bell, but hear ye, Warner Brothers says this. And he did this yesterday. So this whole article was Cyborg cameo written out of Flash role. Flash role will not be recast. Because I think Grace Randolph had kicked off the day. Of course she does. And she's 0 for 2 this week, by the way. 0 for 2. And anyone who says otherwise is not paying attention. But she's 0 for 2. And she ends up, so she's talking about the cyborg role that they're currently looking for other people. And then this comes out. All right. So according to this, it says DC Films' upcoming Flash movie will no longer include a cameo by Cyborg. According to insiders with knowledge of the situation, that decision comes 1 week after actor Ray Fisher, who played the character in Justice League, was offered a cameo role in The Flash last June. He indicated that he will not participate in any production associated with current DC Films president Walter Hamada. In addition, insiders say the role will not be recast. Now, the thing with that is yesterday, or just the other day, I think right after this whole thing broke, Warner's there's this opposition came out, right? These weird reports came out. Not weird, but they suspicious. Okay, I think suspicious is a good word. So you had this whole thing. Grace comes out, says they're going to be recasting the role of Cyborg. They're currently looking for actors. Humberto comes out and says, nah, they're just not going to recast the role, but he's been written out. And then you got the report saying that Hamada has re-signed for 3 more years. And today we find out that they've already renewed Stargirl for season 3 with Jeff Johns as a showrunner. So it's it does feel like Warner's is digging the fuck in. They are just digging in and they are not budging on this one. In fact, they are rewarding people. For all this stuff. So anyway, Ray kind of came out and talked a bit about it today. For example, he says, I strongly suggest that the Wrap amend this article immediately. While I appreciate the reporter's undying desire to do WP Pictures and Walter Hamada's bidding, it is factually inaccurate. I did not publicly step down from anything. Going on to say, if Warner Brothers Pictures has made the decision to remove me from The Flash rather than address in any way Walter Hamada tampering with the Justice League investigation, that's on them. The idea of removing the role rather than recasting it is only being used to try to avoid public backlash. The Warner Brothers PR team has struggled to regain control of the narrative ever since they failed to bury me in the Justice League investigation with their September 4th hit piece, which unsurprisingly was written by the same reporter. Right? Humberto, like I said, Humberto has put himself in. He's now the guy who gets the inside info on the Snyder Cut and on Warner Brothers. And keep in mind, he said for years it was dead until magically he came out and said it's not dead. And then a couple days later, it was, confirmed to be a reality. So there's some suspicious stuff happening there. Anyway, he says, he goes on to say here, the fact is that Justice League investigation led to Warner Media and its affiliates parting ways with Joss Whedon, because that did happen around the same time. Johns will be following suit. Now, he said this 8 hours ago, which was before the Stargirl season 3 renewal. So keep that in mind. Had Walter Hamada gotten his way, none of that would have been possible, and the cycle of abuse would have continued. Finishing up here, he says, my team and I are still in deep conversation with Warner Media regarding all of these matters, flash or no flash. We fully intend to see this through. I'll keep you all posted, but in the meantime, thank you for your continued support. Accountability over entertainment. And so that's a pretty significant thing to say. He came on out and it's got 313 quote tweets and 1,300 whatever, all these other tweets here and stuff. And so hold on, there we go. The freaking article I had up, this autoplayed, god damn it. Anyway. So we got that. So then Umberto, a couple hours later, drops this little ditty. Okay. So Ray said this at 3:58 PM. So roughly 4 PM, 3 hours later, Umberto comes out and he has to has this new scoop, this new thing. And he says, and this is from Warner Media in a statement to him, the investigation was conducted by an outside law firm and led by a former federal judge. More than 80 people were interviewed, said Warner Media in a statement on Thursday night about the Ray Fisher situation. We have full confidence in its thoroughness and integrity, and remedial action has been taken. The investigation has concluded and it's time to move on, they added. Now, I think something about this to me seems really, really, really weird. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I just work here. But something about this, again, they write that story based off of Grace's rumor comes out. Ray doesn't say anything about it. He did address it eventually. Umberto drops this piece of information. And then they keep having this back and forth. And I know that the Ray haters, right? The Yay Fisher idiots out there are going to use this as some kind of gotcha. But again, it's nothing about this really feels like it's super concrete. It just feels like it's a lot of flexing back and forth. Warner's and their PR team are trying to control the narrative. They're using Umberto Gonzalez literally as a megaphone to amplify their message because they don't want to be seen as trying to be petty. And they want to frame Ray Fisher as being illegitimate. Well, the thing is, Ray's been pushing for a long time now. And we're still moving the needle consistently, right? We're still moving it. He's getting results. They're taking some time, but he's getting results. So when I talk about staying, I stand with Ray Fisher, I still stand with Ray Fisher. I don't stand with Umberto Gonzalez because I honestly, like I said, I've met him. He's a nice guy. He's got his hookups. He's got his sources, but I don't trust his motivations. I really don't trust his motivations because, when he writes this, he breaks this thing for the Wrap. Okay. Which is an okay outlet, but he's also the founder and editor-in-chief of Heroic Hollywood, which quite frankly is just known around the blogosphere as just being the people who just, re-upload or they write articles about fan art. I don't know why he's not breaking it on his own site. He doesn't ever put any effort into his own website, which again, there's things about this I don't quite know. But I'll tell you what cracked me up though, because something else happened too. And maybe it's related in another way, but this is just my connection. Zack Snyder, even today, tweeted out Henry Cavill as Superman. Now, it's not related to Cyborg, obviously, but what it is related to is still his Snyderverse, his Superman. And this is something he put out today at 4:53 PM. So an hour after Ray came out and attacked the Wrap and Umberto Gonzalez, responded, I should say, Zach dropped this image of Henry. And I'm like, come on, man. Come on. This whole thing is connected. This whole thing is connected at this point. That's the only thing. It's the only thing that I think makes any sense is that this whole thing is connected. And Zach is running some interference for Ray. And that's why I keep thinking that when I talked about that secret war the other day, I keep talking about the concept of the cul-de-sac is the little place for the Snyderverse to exist. But here's the thing with the Snyderverse existing in a cul-de-sac. it's going to expand into a whole city. And for some reason, Warner is still really pissed off at that. Like, they just hate it. And so they're using Umberto as a way to kind of like throw shade at Ray Fisher, who is handling it like a true fucking champ. So clearly, I stand with Ray Fisher on all this. I just find it to be really, really funny. So we'll have to wait and see how the whole thing plays out. But as always, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this because it's still wild as hell. All right. And Poindexter Lounge just DMs me. He's like, I'm going to go live when you're done. Enosh, it's like 3:30 on the East Coast, dude. Go to bed. But no, I'll probably jump over there for a few. Just let me know when you're up and I'll send everybody over because I'm only going to do this like maybe another like 20 minutes and stuff because we got some stuff to get through. All right. Why don't we dive over here to the other big news of the day? This one was big. This one gets me going a little bit, right? It's kind of gives me a little bit of a half chub, if you will. Because Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie finds a writer with the Loki executive producer. And the crazy thing about that is we haven't heard about Feige's movie since August of 2019. And so it's been like almost a year and a half. No movement. Now, if you've been paying attention to Star Wars, and you should totally be paying attention to Star Wars because it's Star Wars and it's amazing and we all love it. We've noticed a bit of a trend that a lot of Feige's people are kind of making their way over to a galaxy far, far away. You know, they're making their way over a little bit. They're kind of taking over if you think about it, right? Which means I've been saying, from what I've been told, that I think Feige's had a lot more fingers and a lot more pies, but he just doesn't want the upfront credit, which is great. That's a humble, noble thing. Give the credit to the creatives, but help out where you can. Producers are ultimately meant to be a supporting role, helping the directors and the creatives where they can. That's why people love Feige, because he understands how to make it all work, but he also gives them the freedom to create. For the most part, there's been some bickering with the MCU, but you know, I'm sorry. I know Patty Jenkins has complained about Thor, The Dark World, and like, but still we got like Thor Ragnarok out of it. So it's like, and that's like almost completely like a juxtaposition thematically to Thor: The Dark World. Anyway, let's dive into this one. Okay, that's what we know. All right, Michael Waldron, the writer and executive producer behind Loki, has nabbed a high-coveted gig. Lucasfilm has found the writer for its Kevin Feige-produced Star Wars feature project. Michael Waldron, the writer and executive producer behind Loki, is penning the script. The project is seen as being on a tier unto itself because it's being produced by Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, a separate arm from Lucasfilm, which oversees all things Star Wars. Feige originated the project and is producing with Lucasfilm, headed by Kathleen Kennedy. Now, I've been asking the question, is Kennedy done and is Feige kind of coming on in? And I know it says here that, you know, it's producing with Lucasfilm. That's headed by Kathleen Kennedy. Notice how it doesn't say that he is producing it with Kathleen Kennedy, just that the company is working with him because they'd have to, but she runs the company. So there's the wording in there. And I kind of got into a little bit today, jokingly a little bit today with Star Wars Only, who was like, she's producing it too. And I'm like, well, looking at the language here, the language is a little bit murky. It can kind of go either way. But like I said, the Star Wars Feige project has been percolating since fall of 2019. And it was only in late 2020 that Waldron surfaced as a choice as a writer. This is after the former Rick and Morty scribe had already worked with Feige on Loki, as well as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So I remember when they said that the showrunner for Loki was going to be the Rick and Morty guy, but now the Rick and Morty guy is going to do Star Wars. This ought to be fascinating. This ought to be really interesting. And this could also be really, really, really divisive because a lot of people out there do not like comedy in Star Wars. They don't. And I think Mando did a good job of mixing the two things together. People also didn't really want a lot of comedy in Marvel movies. They said they're too funny sometimes. I've heard that complaint, which is really weird. Because they're action adventures and they're action comedies in some cases. Anyway, the Feige-produced project was not mentioned during the recent Disney Investors Day and is considered in deep development, a sub-tier of the company hopes to keep a secret as long as possible before bringing it to the fore, such as Rogue Squadron, the feature project to be directed by Patty Jenkins. So yeah, they obviously don't want people to know about this just yet. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they want to make sure that they have a good setup. Now, the thing is, Feige, I'll tell you this is my theory on it. And I said this last night on the Nicotina show, the Midnight Run, is that I think that this is, I think I said it today somewhere, but I said that this is a reward for Endgame. No, I said it to Mikey Sutton. That's who I said it to. I said, this is a reward for Endgame. This is because we know that Feige is a bigger Star Wars fan than he is a Marvel fan. And look what he did for Marvel. Think of what he would do for Star Wars. I mean, Feige loves Spider-Man. That's his favorite Marvel character. He stealth produced Venom. He did a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure Spider-Man got to where it got to. And he is heavily invested in Spider-Man 3. So he loves Spider-Man, and he would probably work on it for free. And he has been, from my understanding, in regards to like the stuff that he does. So if he wants to come and take over Star Wars, I'm more than happy to see that. And that kind of ties in to this right here, which is a story that was going around today from the direct.com. And they got a decent track record saying that Robert Downey Jr. rumored to appear in Star Wars. Now, I've seen some people say on Twitter, like, oh, Disney only knows 5 actors. But look, dude, Downey, like, Disney it's show business, not show friends. Okay. So Robert Downey Jr. left Marvel, wanted to break off on his own, wanted to go do Dr. Dolittle for Universal for some reason. That movie was ungodly terrible. And his legacy was a little bit his ego was a bit bruised. It was a bit beaten up. And he's not coming back to Marvel. Not yet, at least. Let's be fair. He'll come back eventually because no one's ever really dead. But going to Star Wars could be kind of cool too. Now, my fear with that, and this could be something, well, let's take a look at this and I'll tell you guys my fear. So according to Noah Outlaw from Kessel Run Transmissions, who, to be fair, were the guys who kind of popularized the Lando Calrissian series for Disney Plus, even though I'm the first person to break the story on YouTube. Yes, I'm going to humble brag a wee bit. But they said here that Robert Downey Jr. is not Thrawn, but Lucasfilm has talked to Robert Downey Jr. about being in future Star Wars project. And he's deleted the tweet, so that even makes it even weirder. But have they talked to Robert Downey Jr. about being in a Kevin Feige produced Star Wars film? If the project right now is in deep development in order to maybe sell the project to Bob Chapek or Bob Iger, which I don't think they're going to really need to, having Robert Downey Jr. on board would really help boost the stock. It would boost the stock also with fans. With fans. Come on. Marvel fans would be like, wait, you're telling me that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in a Star Wars movie? Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. And we've already been seeing, like, Jon Favreau came over from Marvel Studios. He helped build the MCU under Feige, good friends with Feige, over to work on Mandalorian, which in my mind is the best show on TV right now. It's the best show of 2020. If you don't like that, we can fight over that. But I still think that it is. Then we've got Taika Waititi working on his own thing. We've got a lot of Marvel crossover. Season 2 of Mandalorian feels like a Kevin Feige production because it essentially built out the world and introduced us to characters that are all going to go on to their own shows, creating a larger quote-unquote cinematic universe or just a connected universe. This is what Feige does. So yes, I think we can look at this whole thing and go, this is all part of some big plan. So I do actually agree with Noah Outlaw here. I think they have talked to Robert Downey Jr. I think they are going to put Robert Downey Jr. into one of these movies. And I'm here for it. I'm 100% here for it. It's something I can't wait to see. But I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Music Man here does say Cobra Kai owns 2020 and 2021. I haven't watched it, so I can't tell you, but I will watch it. Okay. But in the meantime, no, Mando's my jam. Underhaven here says, I'm worried about Star Wars becoming the MCU in space, but I love Robert Downey Jr. So look, man, if Star Wars becomes the MCU in space, is that a bad thing? Is it a bad thing? I mean, what was the key complaint coming off of the sequel trilogy? There wasn't a plan, right? There wasn't a plan. So if they got a plan and they're planning out like a villain intro, because keep in mind, they mentioned Thrawn in season 2. That's going to be the big villain leading into that culminative experience that they're building to. He's the Thanos of what's going to, I can't wait. You guys are like, seriously, my nips are hard talking about this. I'm so excited. So that's what they're going to do. And I think, I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Thrawn, but it's possible Robert Downey Jr. could go and be on, maybe not a movie, but maybe be on something with the Mandalorian. Disney would pay the money for it. Keep in mind that they paid him like $45 million to be in Civil War. And that was actually like the budget for Robert Downey Jr. was the point of contention that got Kevin Feige to go to Bob Iger and go, if I have to continue dealing with Ike Perlmutter, I'm going to quit. And that's when Bob Iger was like, okay, you work for Alan Horn now. You answer to me and you answer to Alan Horn, but you don't answer to Perlmutter anymore. So Feige knows how to utilize Robert Downey Jr. to the best of his ability in order to maximize not only profitability, but popularity. So I'm just saying, look, a geek here I agree with, right? Feige is the guy to go to for a plan. 100% the guy to go to for a plan. That doesn't mean that he's like the end all be all for everything, but it's like if you're trying to build something that can sustain itself and last, you need a good architect. And this is where the DCEU is having the most problems. And this goes into Marvel, into DC Comics. Whenever they kind of back themselves into a corner or they write themselves into a hard spot, they just go, okay, let's reboot everything and start all over again. That's the DC motto. That doesn't work when you're trying to establish this long-lasting series where you allow characters to build and grow and the audience grows with them, which is why Feige is the dude to have it with. So I'm totally down for this one. Okay, John here says, nope, I like the EU of Star Wars. Brian Daly novels of Han Solo adventures are undiscovered gold. And you know what? They might actually adapt those because Thrawn started off heir to the Empire, baby. He started off as an EU story character. And now we're talking about him being the villain of like this, Star Wars cinematic thing on Disney Plus. Feige, Filoni, Favreau, right? The 3 Fs, the triple Fs, those dudes, like they understand nostalgia and showcasing it in a new and interesting way. And that's why it's going to rock. Shinoko says here, also, where the heck is Rian Johnson's trilogy? Well, much like our democracy, it's dead. No, it's not, but it is dead. It is gone. Yeah, it's not going to happen at this point. I just don't see it happening. Nobody wants it. No one's been talking about it. And I think, here's Rian Johnson's going to go do his Knives Out movies until the end of time. And I'm here for it because I really, really, really love Knives Out. All right, let's jump into the final story of the day. This one, I have not been following the case, but everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and what's happening as a response to this. And if what he's saying here is true in this headline, Johnny Depp making desperate attempt to malign Amber Heard, Aquaman star's lawyer says, admits promised $7 million charitable donations as delayed. So look, Johnny, he's got to be pretty furious. Okay. He lost out on the Grindelwald job, which I still think Warner's like, they totally just like, they dropped the ball on that one. They so stupid to do. There's been a ton of reports that potentially Johnny Depp will probably not work in Hollywood again after this, after losing the defamation case against Amber Heard with The Sun, and that wife beater line is going to follow him, which is, I think, disgusting. Because I've read a lot of the stuff and I'm like, these people were toxic towards each other and she is guilty of her own set of things. But no one wants to talk about that. For some reason, no one ever wants to talk about that. I don't get it. Well, I get it. I do get it. I think we all kind of fucking get it, right? But anyway, but this $7 million charitable donation situation is kind of interesting. So let's find out more. The multinational legal battles between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard have just become a lot less charitable. As the once married Rum Diary co-stars inch towards a May 3rd trial start in Depp's $50 million defamation suit against Heard, claims have now reemerged over whether the Aquaman star actually did donate her $7 million 2016 divorce settlement to charity as promised. As clearly planted, no, well, it is a clearly planted story in the Daily Mail. Yeah, it's 100% planted. He's like, they're going to negotiate through the media. All right. They're going to fight via the media. It's going to get bad. It's going to get bad. But anyway, it seems to help get the Pirates of the Caribbean actor the new trial, that seems aimed to help Johnny Depp get the trial. So say, all right, Mr. Depp's effort to plant stories in the media criticizing Amber for not yet fulfilling all the donations she pledged to charity is yet another desperate attempt to divert attention from the UK court's findings relating to allegations of Mr. Depp committing domestic abuse and violence. This is coming from Elaine Bredehoft, Heard's attorney. Now, and they say here, diverting. See, this is where like even Dominic from Deadline's like, let me see if I can spin this towards Amber's favor, but still be journalistically intact. So it says here that while Depp initially handed over $100,000 of a promised $3.5 million to LA's Children's Hospital in Heard's name in 2016, a 2019 letter from the organization asked the address, if you have knowledge if the Children's Hospital LA should expect further installments on your behalf of a pledge, or will it not be filled? That's not good, dude. That's not good. Are you kidding me? Like Children's Hospital. Like, I mean, like the optics alone on that one, like you're taking money from sick children. That's not a good look. That's why the story it's smart. It's really smart because that's a big fuck you. Heard stated in the UK High Court last year and on various other occasions that over the past few years she donated the full $7 million to the Children's Hospital LA, and that the ACLU after some initial hiccups with the agreement. In fact, in his biting November 2020 decision against Depp in the libel case against Rupert Murdoch's own son, Judge Andrew Niccol made a distinct point in praising Heard as Team Depp sought to sully the motivations of the anti-domestic violence advocate, saying her donation of the $7 million to charity is hardly the act one would expect of a gold digger, said the High Court, but also asserting that the son's claims against Depp were substantially true. Yeah, I always felt that case was kind of like fucked up. However, Heard's lawyer in the Virginia-based defamation matter and her client's $100 million counterclaim did noticeably walk back the full extent of the actress's benefactions, saying that Amber has already been responsible for 7 figures in donations to charitable causes and intends to continue to contribute and eventually fulfill her pledge. So she was given the money that she said, I'm going to give away. And then she just kind of sat on it for a number of years. So it's been almost 5 years now. So she sat on it for a number of years and she'll eventually get around to it. Isn't she making money from being an Aquaman? Isn't she making money from being an Aquaman too? Like, I know she tried to hook up with, she was dating Elon Musk, like not long after they broke up, her and Johnny broke up. And that dude just became out like as the richest dude in the world. So it's like, I mean, there were accusations of her being a gold digger back then. And then she shows up, on the arm of Elon Musk and you're like, oh, Amber, no, come on, sweetie. Anyway, while implicitly confirming Depp's allegations that the donations weren't fully made, her lawyer's explanation actually further complicates the matter in another manner. Depp sued Heard for defamation in 2019, over 2 years after the divorce settlement. So what were the big bucks that Heard had to pay out to lawyers from 2017 to 2019? That question may now become pivotal in the UK, having already seen one appeal attempt go nowhere as Depp's UK lawyers want a new trial, in part because the first trial's judge failed to properly assess her credibility by reference to documentary evidence, photographs, recordings, or otherwise, which if you followed all of that stuff that came out, yeah, it's pretty not good on her part. Judge Niccol concluded that the appellant was guilty of serious physical assaults without taking account of or even acknowledging that Mrs. Heard had been untruthful in her evidence, without testing her account against the documentary evidence and evidence of other witnesses, and without making any findings that he disbelieved those witnesses. And that would be like Winona Ryder and Johnny Depp's like ex-wives and ex-girlfriends. A lot of people came out to speak on his behalf that he was not abusive, whereas Amber Heard has actually been arrested for domestic abuse before in the past. Now, I'm not saying that Johnny Depp and her never tussled, because I do actually think that they are both toxic for one another and that there were some heated situations. But looking at the evidence presented from his side, it's far worse than what she has alleged, that I have not seen evidence appear for on her side. What I have seen coming out of her side is Me Too allegation followed by riding the limelight. And you might think me a dick for saying that, but that's kind of how I take it. Now, the Deadline did ask her attorney if the fact that her client had not donated all the $7 million, as she said she was going to, could impact either the U.S. defamation case or the UK matter. And she says, no, they have nothing to do with each other. Now, representatives for Depp did not have a timely statement when contacted by Deadline, but Depp's longtime legal advisor, Adam Waldman, did respond to Heard's lawyer's remark of eventually fulfilling the donations by posting, "Is this the same thing as a 4-year media spasm of the $7 million charitable donation? Is that the same thing that was said in court under oath? No, that is not the same thing." So there's a bit of discrepancy there from what it seems. And then all this stuff from here, it just goes on. You know, what we're going to see, what we take away from this essentially is that Heard got $7 million, was supposed to give $3.5 million of it to the Children's Hospital. $100,000 was paid to it by Depp in her name. And then she didn't give any of the other money. Now, I can understand if there was like, I have legal fees and I have living expenses and all this other kind of stuff. I get that, fine. But she's been a consistently working actress in the time since then, now starring in a $1 billion property. So her payday is going to be exceptionally larger. So, I mean, this is one of those situations where you're like, well, maybe, you know, like Amber's, she's a bit of a liar. I'm just going to say she's definitely a liar. And she definitely knows how to manipulate, and she definitely knows how to play the game. And Depp is pissed, and Depp is clearly at this point going out there and saying everything that he can to try to clear his name. I think this is a messy and dirty situation, and one that I really do hope will come to fruition where, look, here's my ultimate wish. Okay. I want both parties to basically just agree to never, ever, 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 ever talk to each other ever the fuck again. That's it. Like, treat it like a wash. Treat it like a wash. You walk away. Because no one is going to win. All right? No one is going to win. Depp is not going to win what he wants. He's not going to win his name back. He can get some money out of it, but what's the good of that? You know, I know what he's trying to do. I'm just saying, it's like, I'm not saying don't fight, but I'm saying, like, understand that there is a limit to what is going to be able to be accomplished. And I like Johnny Depp quite a bit. I don't want him to be in a situation where things are going to be like, you know, like where there's where he crosses the point of no return. That's what I do not want. And I'm afraid at one point that could happen. So I'll have to see. We will have to see. All right. So that's what I got for the news stories. Let me take a look at the chat here. Drink some water. God, talking to it. Let's see here. Of course, there's rumors of that Mara show. Yeah, who wants a Mara show? Who's asking for that? No one. You know, like, no one's talking about Amber. You know, I heard something about like her in the Snyder Cut, and like she gets a lot of play in the Snyder Cut. Like, it's really good. I think that's what Grace Randolph. Is it just me, or is Grace Randolph, who's usually anti-Me Too, it's very much on Amber Heard's side? Have you guys seen that? It's kind of weird to me. A little bit weird. Let's see here. DC is hurting enough without keeping Amber Heard. She's a PR disaster. Yeah, well, I don't disagree. Jack here says, in my opinion, Johnny Depp was the best part of Fantastic Beasts 2. I agree, man. That scene where he was talking at the end, giving the speech, the monologue, was great. Really, really, really liked it. Let's see here. Kasra says, Depp will go back to the indie film, which is good for him. He made better movies. I agree. You know, he's a good actor. So I think going into some of those movies are going to be good for him. Kind of work his way back on this one. Anthony asks, have I ever heard of Mr. H reviews? Yep. I don't watch him though. I don't like him. He is very similar to like Midnight's Edge, and it's just like, let's pimp up bullshit. You know, let's just, he doesn't know how movies are made. Like, I've heard him talk about stuff and I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. You know, a lot of people who cover movies don't actually know anything about them. John here says, I think Depp just badly worded his lawsuit because the way it worded doesn't matter if she swung first. Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of problems there with his legal team. And also, like, you can tell, like, he's angry and he wants to very much, like, find his way to, what's the word? He's angry and he wants revenge. And I get that, but it may not be very good. Alex here says, wasn't Disney not paying the writers of Star Wars EU books? Yeah, that's something they got to work on. And I think that's the guy, like the guy who came out talking about how The Last Jedi was a terrible film last week. He went on Midnight's Edge and was talking about that. I think that's the guy who was like complaining about the about not being paid royalties. And to be fair, I think if Disney is selling those books and they are selling, if people are buying them, then pay him the royalties. I mean, that's his work. That deal, that contract with Lucasfilm, as far as I know, doesn't expire unless there's a clause in the contract that if Lucasfilm ever sells to another company, that contract doesn't go with it. Kind of like if like Spider-Man, for example, Sony has the publishing rights for Spider-Man. They don't own Spider-Man, but they have the publishing or the distribution rights for it. Meaning that if Sony ever sells, then those rights return to Marvel. They do not transfer to the new owner. So I don't know. Anything could really happen. Jack here says, I really loved your Prometheus movie retrospective. Hope you do more. Yeah, man, I want to do more. I don't think I'm going to be like that. People were telling me that they wanted me to like edit that one and add more things in on that. I just like the concept of doing it as a podcast, and I don't have the time to edit. And that's the biggest problem. I just don't have the time, but I really enjoyed putting it together. And I really want to like do more movies because I might do that on a separate channel or something. So I'll have to wait and see. All right, let me see here. If Enosh is, hold on, let me ask him, are you live? So I could send that over, but, let's see, take a quick look here. What else you guys say? Geek here says Grace is acting super weird. I've been blocked for a long time. So I literally have like no idea. However, yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of agree with you a little bit, just a little bit. So, all right. Going back up a little bit to the chat here. Jack says, I'm fucking hyped for the future of Star Wars. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Me too. I think Star Wars is like, a lot of people like to bash on it, but it's been good for me. I got the audiobooks of both of those things today of, the Light of the Jedi and the High Republic. Well, no, it was, what are they called? Let me find this. What are those books called? I know it's the Light of the Jedi, and then the second one is called Test of Courage. That's the young adult novel. And you can tell because the Light of the Jedi is like 13 and a half hours for the audiobook, and the Test of Courage is like 4 hours. You're like, oh yeah, I could totally tell the audience for this. But I'm looking forward to diving into that this weekend. I'm really looking forward to that shit because it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it. All right. It's not updating the chat. So, let me see here. Do I have anything else? What else? Anything else happened today? I don't know. Let me take a quick look. All right. Apparently Brie Larson says that Captain Marvel 2 is gearing up. I don't know about you, but I don't care. Marion Ramsey, who played Sweets in the Police Academy movies, she passed away today. She was 73 years old. If you guys have, she played Hooks. If you've ever seen the Police Academy movies, she was great. She was a lot of fun in those movies. She had a very like soft voice, and she was very kind of like just like the loving one, which is pretty cool. What do we got here? We got some photos. People, I know this popped up yesterday. People talking about the photos of Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, right? How the Army of the Dead had that nice little Easter egg in there. I don't know if you guys saw that one. I'll bring that up here right now. And yeah, so we got this one right here. This image of Army of the Dead kind of cracked me up because it's like, for one, oh my God, like look at the guns. You have like the gold-plated AKs right there. No one's ever talking about the gold-plated AKs. You got the Breaking Bad style pile of money. And then you've got the 5 film canisters in the left-hand side here. Now, again, a lot of people talking about the film canisters because this was what Snyder had taken a picture of and posted the Vero saying like, is it real? Of course it's real, which was just a prop from Army of the Dead, was a Justice League prop that he snuck in, which is just like, holy shit, Zach, you bastard. That was amazing. I love it. So he did that. But what really cracks me up and what throws me off is right here in the center. What do you guys see? You guys see Tig Notaro, all right? The actress and comedian Tig Notaro. And she's there. And she looks noticeably different from everyone else in the image. And the reason why she looks noticeably different from everyone else in the image has everything to do with the fact that she is CG'd in. She was added in post because that was actually Chris D'Elia who was in this shot. And then after his sexual assault allegations came out, where he was like looking for, like, soliciting nudes apparently from underage girls on Instagram, which he vehemently denies, but that's the accusation. He was pulled from the movie and replaced with Tig Notaro, and they just added it in here. So that's kind of interesting. But, you know, like, this particular shot, it doesn't really tell you much. The Snyder Cut reference is kind of like the coolest part of it. So are the gold-plated AKs. I like those quite a bit. But it does give you the idea that this is going to be some interesting movie. Now, where this takes place in the film, who knows? Because the plot synopsis is that they break into Vegas. They're doing a heist in Las Vegas that's over, you know, it's run over by zombies. So look at how many of them are alive. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them are alive in this shot. I guarantee you, like, 2 of them are going to survive, maybe even only 1. So don't get comfortable with any of those characters. So there's that right there. Let's see. Jack here asked the question, what is my favorite 4K Blu-ray? Probably right now, the one that I own that I love the most is probably Jaws. Because it looks awesome and I love it. I love Jaws. John here asks, didn't they have like 5 Police Academy movies? They actually had 7 Police Academy movies. There was Police Academy 2, Police Academy 3. I think number 4 is Citizens on Patrol. Number 5 is like something in Miami. And that's the one where they go to Miami for like a police conference. And then you had the 6th movie, which outside of the first one is probably my favorite. It's the one I watched the most as a kid. Because that was like when I first got exposed to the Police Academy movies. Number 6 had like just come out. And it was like PG-13 compared to the first movie, which was like hardcore rated R. Lots of nudity and shit. And then they did number 7, which was Mission to Moscow. Oh, number 7. That's pretty bad. They also did a Police Academy television show that was short-lived, with featuring the actor who played Lazard, Commandant Lazard. I forget his name. And then they also had a Police Academy animated show for a short period of time as well. So Police Academy has been around for a very long time in a multitude of different facets. And I do love all the movies. Number 7, not so much, but like each of them is like distinct in their own way. And what I love, like in number 2, like in number 1, like there's like, they kind of poke fun at the LA riots, or like the Watts riots from the 1960s, because this happened before the 93 riots. And then like in number 2, they take on a biker gang with like, that's led by Bobcat Goldthwait. And then in number 3, he ends up going to Police Academy to become a cop. It's like, what the fuck? It's a great movie. So yeah, Anthony, I already answered. Yeah, I said I've heard of Mr. H. I don't like him. So there's that. What other show was the actor in? Which one? What other show was what actor in? It was Bobcat Goldthwait. He was in Unhappily Ever After, the WB ripoff, or I should say equivalent of Married with Children. That actually kind of like reversed the tropes a little bit, which I thought was kind of fascinating. And, but he was like the bunny, you know, it was good stuff. Let's see here. Commandant Lazard. He was in, I don't know. Let me look this up. Commandant Lazard, Police Academy. Okay. George Gaines was the actor, and he died at the age of 98 in 2016. Wow. Okay. No, not far from me, actually, in Washington. He died. Okay, so he was in a bunch of stuff, actually. Wow, he worked a lot. Although it's been like 20 years since, or over 20 years since he was on television. He was in a lot of shows. He was in Matlock, The New Lassie, The Days and Nights of Molly Dodd. He was the voice of the elder in chief on the show Dinosaurs, the ABC sitcom, the Not the Mama one. He was in Hearts of Fire, Chicago Hope. He was in Punky Brewster as Henry Warnemont, but I think it's a contract role. I don't know what that means. He was in Cheers as Malcolm Kramer. He was in WKRP Cincinnati. Popped in that show back in the late 1970s. That was a good show. I liked WKRP in Cincinnati. Let's see. I mean, he's in a lot of stuff, you know. But I don't know what he was generally in. Like a lot of times he popped up just like as like character, you know. He'd just be in one episode, and that would be about it. I don't know. Let's see here. Let's see here. He was Punky Brewster's father. Okay. Oh, is that what it means for contract role? That's that's kind of K. Yeah. Wow. Punky Brewster didn't even run that long. It didn't. It actually. Oh yeah. Okay. He's like, yeah. Had 4 seasons. Wow, 4 seasons. Jesus, 88 episodes. Holy shit. That's before I was a kid. That's when I was a kid. Before anything else. So I have to see. All right. So okay. Let's see here. Enosh Poindexter Lounge is going live. I'm gonna wrap this up because I like to keep these at being like about an hour. To not go overboard. And then I'll link it to you guys, and I'm going to jump over to that one because that's what I'm going to do. And okay, there is the link for that. And I'm going to jump over there for a few while I finish up some stuff here. Anyway, if you guys haven't already, please consider leaving a like, consider leaving a subscription, consider, I don't know, like just kind of chilling. Jumping over to that one, we'll be talking over there for a bit more about Ray Fisher versus Warner's, all that stuff, because it's a hot topic of the day. I'll talk to everybody later. Thank you again. Have yourself a great day, and